Alright, well, hello, another morning show. Hope your dumbass is woke the fuck up. Because today, I'm going to provide you with some answers to some maybe questions that you might have had regarding the last recent episodes here. Because, everybody was so sad and mad and worked up and, oh, great goshies, about the stuff that I was talking about in the last two episodes. Now, if you paid attention, I always give you the meat in the details. The meaty details. The meaty deeds. What I'm talking about is, do you ever experience synchronicity? What I'm referring to, I'm going to connect here, is those moments when everything aligns and it makes sense and you're like, oh yes, I am in the right position at the right time in the right place for a message from the universe to come through to me. Or, let's use a soft example. My cousin one time was driving on the highway, interstate, and he was driving an older car, and he said the tire grenaded on him. Now, I don't know if that meant it went flying off into the ditch. I can't remember exactly. Long story short, well, it's not even a long story, but he didn't have to wait or even call anybody before the guy he would have called for help was already there. He was just already on the road. So it couldn't have happened at a better time, and everything just kind of synchronized up. So his problem was taken care of just immediately, right? What could have been a cruddy situation for somebody to have to deal with, it was just oh man, the stars aligned, they would say, and everything was just in the right place. It's just a soft example of synchronicity right there. What I'm talking about specifically is using that ability. Because once it happens to you, it's like if you open up to the universe and start to, oh, hey, have a back and forth conversation, you can ask questions and you can get answers. So what does that mean? Okay, so you can ask a question and get an answer back. Well, what if I was to research a subject and then come to some sort of I have this idea, I got all these facts, I've processed all this information, but I don't have a real way of proving what's true, I need a little bit more to validate. I cannot verify and validate this information. Information validation. Information security. Right? Same thing. How do I know that this information is secure to accept as plausibly true? Using synchronicity, take it to a higher level where you're oh, I've gotten a sign from the universe through this synchronistic event that is somehow validating or at least giving you information about your specific question. Now, if you read my book, BigBrainUniversity.com, I detail how I learned to do this, the experiences that took place where it was oh, okay, this is what's happening, at least in the framework to answer the question of why did I have these experiences? How could that have even been possible? And it's because your consciousness is just directly linked all the time. Right to source. I say all the time, all thought is prayer. You are always talking to, quote, God, the universe, existence. You're always emitting that. You can't turn it off. You are constantly receiving and emitting You're in a constant state of information processing. That's what you are. To the core of your psyche, that's what's happening. On every level, it's information being processed. So in your brain, when you're thinking, okay, well, if there's this story about Hunky Doolittle, who did Hunky Do what should I really be like getting emotionally invested when it really just came through a television? You know, what's your process of information security? What's your process in information validation? The fact that it came through the fucking television? Oh, it's on the news. They all were there. They all talked to it. They all validated. They all saw it. Every single fucking person. Like, there's no game of telephone being played. There's no ability to manipulate any information at any point. It's all 100% secure information. And I'm sitting here like, you are fucking dumbest person I've ever met, if that's what you think. Because you're not operating on any mode of information validation. You just, that came out of the squawk box. That's like reading something in a book or reading something on the internet and just automatically accepting that it's true. Because, well, I trusted the source, which was the television. Which source are you really gonna trust? Well, the television just told me what the source of that source said. They're just a middleman. Okay, well, if there's a middleman, if there's a medium for information to travel through, it can be intercepted, changed, and re-emitted at any point. So how are you going to secure your communication network? How are you going to secure the data? How are you going to find out if you're not just being manipulated when I've already explained to you, okay, 1 and 2, they're just using only two things about your psyche that both stem from fear to manipulate your entire behavior and get you to believe in all these things. Okay. So, what did I experience recently to sort of validate my ideas about the recent Bang Bang Shooty Shoot event that I told you all you probably shouldn't be getting worked up because it probably didn't happen. It's probably quite contrived. Remember what I was telling you all in that episode? This is the barnyard. This is where they just manipulate you like cattle, like flock of animals. They are just herding you. The framework of your entire belief systems, it's all been given to you. None of you thought of it on your own. None of you did. Especially if you're Christian. None of you came to that conclusion if you weren't given that information from when you were young. You were conditioned, you were brainwashed. Just accept it and learn yourself out of it, or don't. Whatever, the choice is yours. Woohoo, we have free will. Yeah, sure. So, what did I experience? Where I just moved to, there was a squirrel barn on a tree. What do I mean by that? A squirrel barn? It's like a squirrel-sized barn with like squirrel-sized picnic tables and shit on the tree. I've never seen it before, but there's literally miniature picnic tables on a tree and a barn, like a birdhouse-sized barn, right? And I guess it's for squirrels. What? Okay. All right. Now, I'd be like, yeah, right. Okay, why would a squirrel's not going to use a little picnic table attached to a tree? What are you talking about? Get real with me right now. What are we doing here? Lo and behold, they actually use it. I've seen it. It's quite a sight to see. A squirrel sitting on a picnic table on a tree, just going to town on an acorn. Whatever, man. Hey, be the squirrel. Now, something interesting, a couple things about this story align so well especially how it was on a tree. And it was a squirrel, the quiddity. When I first heard the word quiddity, I was like, what is that? I was told it is the essence of a thing. The quiddity. Some might say spirit. So I'm like, what? The essence of a thing. The squirrelness of a squirrel. That's how it was put to me. It's the squirrelness of a squirrel. Okay. So we have this squirrel barn. And I was talking about a barnyard. Well, what happened that day that I got home? The day that I recorded that, when I got home, the barn had fallen off into the yard. Barn yard. The trees and the squirrels and the wind, everything must have aligned just right to knock that barn off. Totally undamaged too. It's not broken in any way. As if it was just set on the ground to prove a point, to say, hey, here's a little synchronistic event that was possible that barnyard. Talking about the barnyard. You're talking about a specific event in the barnyard there, sir? The universe was like, oh yeah, I can make that happen. I can validate that information. All the stuff that you were just talking about in that recent episode you did, yeah, I can validate that. Let me pop off some synchronicity here. Now, y'all might be shocked or amazed or totally doubting everything I just said. That's fine. Your reaction is, I don't know, we could get into that, but how is that a coincidence? This just so happened to be on the day that all this happened, just all these other events. Now, if you read my book, or if you've even been exposed to this channel at all, or if you're just even familiar and you've experienced synchronicity, it might be obvious to you what just happened. For first-timers, newcomers, doubters, haters, whatever, that's just information that now you have to process. And if you're already thinking that you have an answer to it, and you haven't run through a synchronistic event for validation, so a lot of you might be on the level where you think you're going to heaven. You think you're going to die and you're going to go to heaven, but you spent your entire existence here not experiencing one thing that you could have experienced every single day. And you all seem to be like, well, I pray and I talk to God and my stars are aligned and I'm this or I'm that. And it's like, what you're telling me is just all ego. When did you have an experience of ego death and experience of purity where you left the ego self behind and now you've come back and recognized it as, oh, you understand more about your quote-unquote self and what might be going to quote-unquote heaven or not. When you still believe in this fucking globe bullshit, globe fly around the space, ball third, fucking spin around. I mean, come on. There's so many other better ideas and theories out there than that one. Than the major cartoon globe one, the cartoon that they're giving you. But that's what you've all been initiated with, is cartoons mostly too. It's the first thing that came out of that squawk box that got your trust and got your emotional attachments. You loved it. You loved the squawk box. You loved the things on it. To separate from those things would have to go back to remove things in your childhood and view them as trauma, instead of I loved watching VeggieTales. And be like, no, that show fucking brainwashed you. It got you addicted on a television box. You didn't even know it. turned your brain off when you were young too. So that was a bit about, do you experience synchronicity? How do you do it? What is it? What happens? Is it really just coincidence? What is coincidence versus synchronicity? It's more of a conversation. That's kind of a big conversation to have. But most people can read my book in like 4 hours. You can listen to it in 6. It's bigbrainuniversity.com. Check it out. So when you hear me saying things like, and you think it's just his opinion, it's just from his beliefs. It's like, my brain doesn't even operate on those fucking primitive ass levels anymore. What are you talking about? My opinions and beliefs? Fuck you. If you want opinions and beliefs, I can fucking give them to you. I can do that. But why would I? Why would I waste my time processing those thoughts and information? Why wouldn't I filter those out? Filter those out actively in your own consciousness. Like, you have to kind of know where some thoughts are coming from sometimes, because they're not all coming from you. But a lot of people just don't understand the basic nature of their existence is an emission and receive. Receive, emit, receive. It's happening at the same time all the time. You're just always processing information, always in a state of information processing. You can't even turn it off. You cannot disconnect from it. Life, it's happening at all times. Some people, and if you really get into flow state, or if you really some people who practice meditation might experience true stillness, where you're just sitting there, and you might not even feel like you're sitting anymore, because when you're that stillness, where you can disconnect, you can go another place. I would refer to that as flow state. It's like, I think of it as like if a drummer they say they enter a flow state, or a athlete, it's that point where you're just sort of like, you don't even have to think about what you're doing anymore, because you just feel it. It just happens. Like, you're not thinking about doing it. You're not thinking about, well, I'm trying to keep this form while I throw it. Nah, dude, your form is just fluid at that point. You just know it. You just do it. It just happens. You just think it and it happens. You're just like, okay, I'm going to throw this curveball at 89 miles an hour in this particular spot, and it just happens. I'm going to play this groove right here. I'm going to play this song, and it just happens, because you're like, it's like you can almost just watch yourself do it. Pretty intense, cool stuff. But it's something that's really a basic thing that occurs in your consciousness, in your existence, in your being. So I'm not going to go on for too much longer. I think I'm going to say goodbye, because that was kind of fun, explaining shit to you. One topic I do want to do something on is this, the idea of, some of you might know, but Namu Amida Butsu is a Buddha who chose not to ascend, to stay here and reincarnate. The story goes, until all conscious beings or something like this are enlightened enough to ascend on their own. So basically getting society to the point where everybody is like on the path of ascension consciously, and they know it. Like, they understand what's happening. They understand, they're in flow state. Some people who take psychedelics have like experiences of past lives where they, took these vows to do something like this, and they come back theoretically from those experiences too, and they're just like, oh, yeah, I've found like my true purpose. I've connected with my soul, and like this is just what I'm supposed to do. That's why I'm here. Now, I want to talk a little bit about that personally, because I've thought about those things, and I've questioned, why do I have this extra level of awareness and information where other people don't? Where it's just very visible that like most people do not have synchronicity in mind. They're not even like trying to. They have no experience with, how do I ask God a question and get an answer? They just don't have any like, or their experience is like through a mushroom trip or some kind of drug, a hallucinogen. So it's kind of like, well, you sort of induced something, not to say that it's illegitimate, but it's like, what I'm talking about is just like daily sober experiences. And the stuff that I wrote in my book will knock you on your fucking ass. So I question why, and I'm like, well, is maybe that true? Like something like that true, where you can choose to just come back and and reconnect with your soul, and your true existence isn't really here. It's like your spirit is sort of embodied here in this place. Maybe like this is not heaven or something like that, right? This is not the land of ascension. When you're true, like your real avatar is like ascended, or your soul has, but you're just back here to like help others, have these experiences again and help others. Like to have to re-find yourself, run through the rat race, all the brainwash again, and come out of it on the other side, right? Get out of the maze, and then still be able to like find your soul, and you can reconnect with your purpose, and then raise others up. I've thought about that. Like maybe that's why. Like maybe I left myself clues. But then also, I'm kind of like, I understand that empathy for people, but isn't there something else better to do? Like aren't other people already doing that? Like why would I have to come back and do it? So I just don't understand that part of it. Like why would I choose to come back here and do it again when others are already doing it? That part of it, there's part of this situation that I don't understand. I understand that might be it. But if I was to think that, hey, if something like that is true, if I made that choice and I'm back here reconnected, and I'm actually like this old soul reliving again, I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't have like that past life feeling experience. I don't. I feel like I have a more waking life experience. Like this was my journey, and this was my path of ascension. And now I'm here where I am, just experiencing life on a different perspective, where it's like, okay, if I'm going to ascend, or I have already, but that certainly seems to be on the cards here, or the cards that are in my hand, how do I want to shape this life to look then, and stuff like that? And what is my purpose? Like see where this is where I don't have a clear answer. And I'm not actually sure that it matters, because I might have positioned myself here and now to satisfy both parts of that question, both sides of the answer, right? Whether I've done it before or whether I haven't. Wouldn't I essentially be doing the same thing anyway, right? So, I think yes. Seems to be. All right. Hope you all have a great week. I'll talk to you next time.